If you want to attract high quality clients and stand out in the sea of noise online, I'm going to give you a dead simple 5-part framework that's going to make you instantly more persuasive. It doesn't matter what niche you're in or how good you are at writing. All you need to do is apply this checklist and I guarantee people will become addicted to your ideas. You can use it for content, emails, ads, sales pages. I've used it to go from 0 to 280,000 readers and 0 to $1.4 million in under 5 years. And in this video, I'm going to show you how we take a hook from bland, boring, and forgettable to something you can't help but read. So grab yourself a cup of tea and let's dive in. So quick story for you. I started writing in July 2020, and when I did, I consumed every single book I could get my hands on to help me build my brand and business. Inevitably, I stumbled into the copywriting world. And one of the most popular books that was constantly recommended was Gary Halbert's The Boring Letters. And when I picked it up, I was reading it and I was like, what the hell is this, right? It made me feel like we were trying to become like a sleazy car salesperson. It felt crap, it felt manipulative. And so I threw it in the bin. I remember saying to myself, more like boring letters. And I was very proud of my wordplay. It was the most expensive mistake that I have made in my career. Why? Because copywriting is everything, okay? It is not manipulation. It is just the art of persuasion through the written word. And because I ignored copywriting, it took me 13 months to hit 1,000 followers and 18 months to make $1. But everything turned around when I really began to focus on persuasion. Because here's the truth. Your ideas don't mean shit if you can't get people to pay attention, and your offers are pointless if you can't get people to buy. And so that's why I put together this dead simple 5-part seductive promise framework. So let's take a look at the first part, which is status. If you want to write persuasively, the key is to become a student of human nature. And really, we're just looking to do 2 things. We want to avoid pain and we want to achieve pleasure, because our monkey minds believe that if we avoid pain and achieve pleasure, we are not going to die. One thing you have to remember, by the way, is that we will sprint away from pain and jog towards pleasure, and that's why talking about problems is so effective online. And so this leads me to the point when we say status, you've really got to make sure that when you're writing, you are promising a big result, okay? Because that's what people want. When they're consuming content, they have one question on their mind, and that's what's in it for me. If you can't answer that question instantly, you have lost your reader indefinitely. So let's take a look. As I said, we're going to write a hook together. Obviously, I teach writing, and so the hook we're going to write, let's say it starts with how to write. About as exciting as a plank of wood. But if we then introduce an inherent promise of status, it will begin to catch attention. So what we could say instead is harsh truth. 97% of people who write online will fail. Here's how you cannot be one of them. So not bad, right? We're tapping into the fear of failure, the fear of staying within the crowd. And within that, we have this promise that you, if you read or listen or whatever we're talking about here, consume this bit of content, you are going to be in that top 3%. So this is already miles ahead of just saying how to write, but we've still got 4 seductive angles that we can play with. So let's take a look at the next one. And this is super important, by the way, because it's something I see people make a terrible mistake with when they're building their offers and pitching their services. Point number 2 is simplicity. People want easy wins. If you just remember that, you're going to go so much further as an entrepreneur. The big mistake is making your offer sound like work. Of course, they probably do have to work, but copywriting, there's this element of selling people what they want and giving them what they need. So yes, you might have like this holier than thou, oh no, if you buy my offer, you are going to have to work really hard, but don't say it straight away to people, okay? Like, don't dive into this date. You got to tease, you got to bring them into it, okay? And so the way we do this is that we promise simplicity, because if it sounds hard to do, it's going to be hard to buy. So let's take a look at our hook. First 2 lines stay the same, so we have harsh truth, 97% of people who write online will fail. Here's a dead simple tip to make sure that you're not one of them. Can you see how immediately that is more compelling? Because this idea that there is now a dead simple tip is unique, it's useful, it's undeniable, right? It's causing a lot of intrigue. It's like, oh, how can this tip be that useful to separate me from the crowd? It's becoming much more seductive. But we can introduce another dead simple tweak to really crank this up. But before we do, just a quick note. If you combine this 5-part seductive promise framework with a persuasive content plan, you are going to achieve some crazy results online. And so that's why I built the 5 pillars of magnetic writing. It is a dead simple guide. It takes about 5 minutes to read. It will instantly improve the ideas that you're presenting to your audience. And I guarantee that if you want to build your business by writing online, it is the only content plan you need. You can get it down below for free. And by the way, if that sounded seductive, that's because I've just used the entire 5-part framework in 15 seconds? So hang around, you'll see how we've done that with our next point, which is speed. So another rule of human nature, if you want to be seductive, is to realize that everybody is absolutely impatient, okay? We know that to be patient to get results, and yes, we can train ourselves to be patient, but if you can promise someone that they can get what they want at a click of a finger, they're going to love you for it. Now, of course, you don't want to promise something that you can't deliver, but we can use the inherent promise of speed to really pull them into your world. I mean, let's think about it. Let's do the inverse here. If we had that same framework for how to write, and then I told you this dead simple tip is going to take about 3 years to work, you're going to be like, nah. I think I'll probably go read someone else that's making this a bit better for me, right? And so we want to be on that side of the equation. And so we could take our hook and say something like, harsh truth, 97% of writers will fail. Here's a dead simple tip that you can use right now to instantly stand out from the crowd. And sure, so I've adjusted the wording a little bit just to fit our promise, and you're going to find that happens quite a lot. But you can see now, because it's instant, okay, and it's something that you can use right now. And so we've promised speed without having to kind of lie to people, right? If you can use it straight away, then great. That is a speed promise. And now that we have status and we have simplicity and we have speed, that alone is going to make you so good at writing your social media hooks, your emails, any sort of ads that you were doing. But we've still got 2 parts that we can add in. Sometimes you might not add all of it in, but I reckon that we can for this hook. So let's take a look at the part number 4, which is surety. Quick story for this one. So I became friends with David Deutsch, who is one of the world's greatest copywriters alive, and he kindly offered to critique one of my sales pages. Now, I am a student of copywriting, but yeah, I thought I was starting to back myself, and he tore me apart for about 3 hours, so it was very humbling. But one thing that he said that I really picked up on was claim proof, over and over and over and over. And what he meant by that was every time you make a claim on a sales page, you must follow it up with proof, because if you say something, the next question on your audience's mind is, why should I believe you? And so if you have a unsupported claim, skepticism rises, and if the skepticism is too high, the sale doesn't happen. Now, this is important for you because your brand, your writing, your business is all just one big sales page for the transformation that you provide for other people. And so if you're not supporting your claims with proof, you're going to get a much worse response. Okay, so that's what I mean by surety. How can we guarantee what people want? And we have 3 levels of this, by the way, 3 levels of proof. You have authority by association, which is where I would take someone else's ideas to support my own. Then we have your result. So, I got this result and that's why you should listen to me. And the most persuasive of all proof is your client results, because there is nothing more alluring than seeing someone else get results, that someone like you get results, following advice that's online. You're like, I want to go do that too. Now, the authority by association one is also quite cool. If you want an example, think about how I just started this point. You're listening a lot more because I used David Deutsch to present my idea. Let's take a look at our hook. Okay, so 97% of people who write online fail. I've taught over 3,000 students to build their writing business. Here is a dead simple tip you can use right now to instantly stand out from the crowd. Suddenly, 3,000 people, you're like, this must be pretty good if other people have learn that. But if not, if I didn't have 3,000 students, because you probably don't, I would say that this has helped me achieve some form of result, tapping into the status of it. Or I might say, I got this tip from Charlie Munger, right? So now we're using his name to get you to click on this hook. And so right now we have one of the most persuasive hooks possible that we can write for this thing, okay? Status, speed, simplicity, and surety. So let's talk about the fifth part, and this is something that a lot of people overlook. It's particularly effective if you're a beginner and you think you haven't really got a lot of seduction behind you. It's one way you can really skip the line and get people to pay attention, and that is a steal. Again, fundamental truth of human nature, everyone loves a bargain. That doesn't mean cheap, okay? It means relative value. So someone like a Rolex isn't cheap, but it's still to somebody a good investment because it gives them the status that they think they deserve, it gives them the power, it gives them the respect. All that crap I don't really care about, but for some people it's important. And so we need to present our offers and our hooks to show why this is a bargain. That does not necessarily mean financially. And this is a super important point. People get kind of confused online because they think, everyone just says you just have to sell how to make money. Yes, the best way to make money is to get close to the money, but if you're in a niche that isn't a make money niche, the thing that you promise to save people, and also if you are in a make money niche that still works, is time and energy. Because anybody with an iota of intelligence knows that their time is the most finite asset. So let's take a look at our hook. Let's see if we can crank it up a little bit more. Harsh truth: 97% of people who write online will fail. I've taught over 3,000 students to build their writing business, and I've written online for over 5,000 hours in 5 years. Here's a dead simple tip you can use right now to instantly stand out from the crowd. So what I've done there is I've done all this legwork for you, right? And all you've got to do is read this post. I could even chuck in and say it's a 3-minute read, and voila, the exchange of value is super high. So what I meant about the beginner side of things is, let's say you don't have much results. You can say, I read this person's ideas for 500 hours, and I can teach you what I learned in 5 minutes. It's a great exchange of value, and that's the authority by association technique, because then you can build your name on the back of other people's. And so that's a killer hook now, right? And so you can play around. I think social media is the best place for you to practice with this seductive framework. But really, if you just look at all of your content and say, am I promising these 5 things, or at least 3 out of 5? If the answer is no, you ain't being seductive enough. Now, of course, one of the most important parts here is output, right? If you're being seductive and you're writing a ton, only a matter of time until you become your audience's favorite writer. And so you might enjoy seeing how I have systemized my entire writing process. You can watch that video, it should pop up here. Otherwise, thank you for watching and good luck.